Tulane team, 4-1 overall, 1-0 in the conference, playing very, very well. Talented team, offensively and defensively. Like I said, just they're playing really good football right now. Quarterback Justin McMillan's a guy you got to be conscious of, a transfer from LSU, who is playing very, very well, capable of very good thrower, good athlete, runs the ball. Got a couple good running backs that run very, very hard. You got to be physical and be able to tackle them, and then have some really good receivers where they distribute the ball around quite a bit to Darnell Mooney, Amari Jones, and Jalen McCleskey. So, guys you've got to be conscious of all the time. And then defensively, they're very aggressive and to get after you, play man coverage. So again, very sound and very solid on special teams. So, we'll have our work cut out for us, and just have to play, prepare the best that we can this week. Thought today was a good day, and get ready to go down there and play them Saturday afternoon.
You said today was a good day. You like the mentality and how the teams reacted?
Yeah, it's you get another opportunity. If you really love the game, every week there's a new opportunity. You learn from last week, and you move on, and you get better. And I think that's what we did. We showed them what we did right, what we did wrong, and showed them here's what Tulane's all about. And went out and practiced against them. I thought the energy was good today. And again, what we got to do is we've got to take our execution to another level and our consistency to another level. And sometimes that's hard when you have so many young kids. And that's the thing we just got to keep working at.
Are they still upbeat and enthusiastic? Have you seen heads start to fall, or do they still have kind of?
No, I thought I just answered that. They were out. I said they were out there. Practice was good, and I didn't see any of that. I thought it was very good enthusiasm. They were flying around. They were working. Talking, communicating, and so again, I didn't see any of what you just mentioned.
What have you thought of your team's run defense this year? Obviously, it's much improved from last year, but obviously this team, I think, 6th in the nation or whatever they are, rushing, big challenge.
Well, I think the one thing is that for us, we got to tackle better. We're not tackling well enough. We're still not strong enough at the point on some of these things. We're not wrapping up and we're not running through people, and that's one of the things. And we have some guys that are missing gaps, and we're going to get challenged this week because they're, I think, the top 10 in the country rushing the football. And again, so the biggest thing for us is just everybody just reading their keys, attacking, being physical, and wrapping up and running your feet. And if you do that, and you're sound and you're solid, and like I said, they do a lot of different things in terms of misdirection and some of those things with the quarterback running the ball, and then what they do else, the other things they do in the running game. So again, you got to be disciplined, and you got to set edges, and you got to make sure you take care of doing your job. And if you do that, then you give yourself an opportunity to stop them. But if you're not in the proper gaps, or you're not going and attacking downhill and doing the things you need to do versus the schemes that you see, then you have creases.
When you see a guy like Elijah Jeffries, when you were recruiting him, he was a quarterback, how do you kind of decide, okay, we want you as a receiver? How does that kind of all come together?
Well, again, you see him and you watch him play quarterback, and he's not a quarterback, and he's a good athlete, and he's got that length, and you know that you're going to have to probably go and take a guy like that and make him another position. And so you do that, and when you do those sort of things, it takes time. It takes time because he had no idea really how to play wide receiver, and he's just starting to get a hang of it now, and he's starting to get some confidence because he is a big guy and he does have good speed, and so now he's just got to keep working at it. And I think the toughest thing sometimes with some of these kids, because they're told so many things at an early age, and just in terms of how good they are, they don't understand sometimes the process that you have to go through in order to be really, really good. And that's what we're going through with Elijah now. So it was good to see him make that catch and run last week, because I think that'll help him with his confidence. But again, people have to understand playing the game of football is very, very difficult, and mastering the fundamentals and techniques of the position to play at a very high level, takes time.
He was one of those guys at your camp last summer, right?
What's that?
He was at your camp? What's in the
Yeah. He came to camp, and we saw him there, and wanted to work him out there because we didn't feel as though he would be a quarterback. And I think that's always the good thing, is you can get guys to come and work them out and see them. So the camp is always a big thing for us, where you can put a watch on them yourself. You get around them and see how they work and see if they're coachable. So the camps for us has always been a big thing. Now it's been a little bit tougher these last few years with the camps, because everybody goes to these mega camps and all those sort of things, and then you go there, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack sometimes.
For guys like Diamond Harrell and Dylan Harris, how much do you think junior college kind of prepares them for this level, and how much do you feel like you're kind of starting from scratch?
I think that the junior colleges do a really good job of coaching the young men and preparing them for the next level. But just like anything else, there's still going to be a transition period for those guys coming from a junior college to a four-year institution, and they have to, adapt and get used to things done differently, different terminology, those sort of things. But they go to junior college, and they're playing against good competition. They're playing against better people than what a lot of the high school guys are. They're older, but again, there's still, in my mind, a process that they have to go through, where they're not probably going to feel, especially the guys that have to come in the summertime, that don't get the benefit of a spring practice. I think if you have the benefit of a spring practice as a junior college young man, I think that makes it a lot easier. Now you're getting into the system, but the guys that come in the summertime that are fall enrollees rather than spring enrollees, I think there's a lot bigger adjustment, and it takes a little bit more time, because they haven't had all those practices and they haven't been around.
Diamond had the big interception on Saturday. What have you thought of his performance so far this year, and where does he still have room to improve?
I think he's getting better. I think he's really starting to feel a little bit more comfortable now, as we're 5 games in. He's moving better. I think you can see a lot of times, at least for me, I can tell if a guy's confident or not just how fast he plays and how well he moves. So I see a guy that's getting more comfortable, as the weeks go on. Still not where he needs to be or where we want him to be, but I do see improvement there, and I do see the process moving a little bit faster now for him, because I think it was a little bit of a slower process as we first started, because I never saw him really just go and cut it loose, because I think he was playing tentative, and I'm starting to get out of that now.
You mentioned the team needs to be more consistent. What goes into that? Like, how does the team work on becoming more consistent?
And this is where I think a lot of guys don't get it. Okay, a lot of players don't get it. You gotta, not only do you have to do it on the field, and you got to do it correctly over and over again, but you got to spend the time watching film and putting the time in from that standpoint. The guys that just come here, sit in a meeting, go out to practice, and then don't do anything until they come back the next day without watching film, aren't going to ever get consistent in my mind. It's just like anything else. You guys will get better writing the more you write. You'll get better interviewing people the more you interview people. So the more that you do things, the better you get, the more consistent you're going to get. And that's the thing. It's just doing things over and over and over again and doing them the correct way. Because, again, you go on the field, but then you got to watch it on your own, before you ever go back to that meeting the next day. Because then you should go back with questions to the coach. And, you know, again, that's what I talk about with this whole process with kids. A lot of them don't get it. It's like throw the ball out and go play. But there's more to playing this game than that. And like I said, this is why this game is so much different than basketball or any other game, because you got 11 guys that are involved, and for it to happen, everybody's got to be on the same page. You know, it's just like a quarterback and receiver. They should watch film together, so they're always on the same page. And so the guys that become consistent are the ones who put in the time that it takes to continue to get better. And that like I said, that's weight room. That's taking care of your bodies. That's watching tape. That's all those things. That's how you get more consistent. Because the more consistent you get, the more confident you are. Because then you know what those people are going to be, the defense or the offense or whoever you're going against is going to be doing. And that's the whole thing. And that's part of the process of these guys coming up from high school, you know, into college. And that's why, at least for us, it's a 2 to 3 year process for some of these kids before they really, you know, get it. There's some other guys that pick it up quicker because of the programs that they come out of and what they've been doing before they got here.
Randy, are you where you thought you'd be midway through the season?
In what regards?
As far as improvement, individual and as a team?
Yeah, you know, I mean, your record is what it is. You are what you are, as Bill Parcells said. The record is what you are, and we're 1-14. You know, we're not. There's like I said, there's guys who are making really good strides right now.
So Randy, getting back to what you were talking about in terms of watching extra tape and doing extra work, do you almost have to make it mandatory for some guys? Hey, you got to do more, and here's when you got to do it.
You can't, Mike. I mean, you get 20 hours. You get 20 hours per week, and we're probably 19. We're probably 19 and a half. Because what I did was we have our opportunity workouts when guys are late and everything else. I used to do those early in the morning, but you had to count that as part of your 20 hours. So now what I do, when we start our meetings, we go and, like I had a team meeting this morning at 7:15. 7:25, I had 2 guys go with me as we started special teams meeting to do their opportunity workout. So I don't have to take extra time out of the 20 hours because we're going to do it the right way. A lot of people don't do it that way. But technically you got to do that. So you can't make that stuff mandatory. That's where I said there's got to be a want to. And that's all part of the recruiting process. Getting the guys that want, where, you know, here's the thing. It's just like anything in life. There's a lot of people that like things, but how many people love things? And if you don't love to play football, if you only like football, you don't love it, you shouldn't play it. Because the only way you're going to be good is if you love it. And if you love it, then it's got to be coming in early before the meetings start and grabbing some time on the tape, you know, taking care of, get your body ready. And then, you know, after practice is over, going in and getting in the cold tubs and taking care of that, okay? And then you got your classes on top of that, but finding some time during the day to be able to watch a little bit more film. And then going to bed at night at an early time to do that. Because if it's important to you to be really good, you'll do those things. I can, it's like I tell people, I can show you, because I've been there, I've been at the highest level with guys, and I've seen the great ones and all that, and I've seen the great ones here, what you have to do. But if they don't want to do it, I don't care who you are. So that's all part of that recruiting process. Finding guys that love the grind, that love to pay the price to be successful. Not the ones that say, okay, I'm going to come in here and I'll do this for 2 weeks, and all of a sudden it doesn't work out. Well, it didn't work out, I'm moving on. You know, it's not worth it. That's the day and age we live in right now. You know? And so we got a lot of young guys like that, and guys that are trying to learn that. But that's the recruiting process. that's what you got to find that stuff out, you know, before you bring it here.
Mike made it.
Like I said, you can't make things mandatory. You know, they got to have the day off, and you know, I mean, like I said, they got to want to do it. And if you don't, like I said, if you don't want to do that, if you're a quarterback and you're not grabbing receivers, or if you might not be going in and sitting down with your offensive line watching film, to me, you're not a quarterback.
Speaking of quarterback, Mike made his second start on this past Saturday. What did you like about his performance? What do you feel he needs to improve on as he goes forward?
You know, I thought he made some good throws, and then I thought there were some throws that you know, he missed on, and some reads that he missed on, and I think that he's got to continue. I think, because again, playing at this level as compared to the level that he was at, it's a lot faster. You know, it's just like when guys go from here to the NFL. It's a lot faster in the NFL than it is in college. You know, and it's a lot faster, you know, from Division I AA, Division II to FBS. So, and again, I just think there's going to be things that he'll continue to do better because he's out there under fire, and things that, you know, that he'll continue to improve on, because he is a guy that wants to get better. He is a guy that likes to work at it. So again, I just think some of the decision-making things, getting the ball out of his hand maybe a little bit quicker, and then sometimes understanding what you're seeing, and maybe you got to throw the ball away and not take a sack, and little things along those lines. And then, you know, making sure that we secure the ball and we don't turn it over.
Do you feel he played better in this game than the Wagner game?
I mean, I thought he threw the ball better because he wouldn't throw it in the second half, and he wouldn't execute the things because of, you know, his shoulder. So yeah, I thought he did do some things. I thought he did do some better things in this game, but he's still got to get a lot better, just like everybody else.
Can he make those improvements in practice, or does he just have to go out there and learn how to make those improvements in game situations?
No, you can do that. You can do that because, again, we try to make practice just harder than the games, Joe. You know, I mean, so, I mean, all these reps he's getting, he's seeing the looks that he's got to get, and he's got to be able to, you got to be able to do that, you know, get better during the week in practice, because if you don't get better during the week in practice, you're not going to be better, you know, for the game. And that's why, you know, we go good on good during the week, you know, 2 periods each day, Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. We go good on good for 2 different periods just so we get the speed, you know, work at it. Because it's a little bit different, you know, those guys running the opposing stuff, you know, so we try to, like I said, we always go good on good 2 periods every practice.
When Art Tompkins came, did you expect him to be such a factor in the passing game?
I probably thought that's where he would be most effective. You know, because again, that's what we tried, that's what we saw him at, as a third down back type of guy catching the ball out of the backfield. He's shifty and quick. You know, you can't, you know, Art's one of those guys, you can't count him 25 times a game carrying the ball. It's just not, he won't hold up. But, you know, in terms of what we thought he could do for us, he's doing those things, and that's why he's doing those things, because that was the thought process and the game plan with him coming, utilizing him in those different ways.
What have you seen from Jason Medlock? Obviously, you've had some injury issues at tight end. Has he played okay in the time he's gotten, and he has to have more
He's doing
time?
the best he can for a guy that shouldn't be playing. And when I say that, it's not because of him. He's working hard. He's given everything he's got. He shouldn't even be playing. But play the cards that you're dealt, and we got injuries there, and there's things we want to do. And so it's a great learning experience for him. We do see him getting better, but you know, he shouldn't even be on the field. He weighs 220 pounds. But you know, it's life we live in. So you do what you have to do. You know, and goes to show you the kid's a tough kid, and he's willing to work, and that's all you can ask. You know, that's all you can ask. A lot of these young guys are still, even guys that we redshirted last year, You know, in an ideal situation, they shouldn't even be playing yet. But we don't have an ideal situation here.
I think it was about this point last year where you shut some guys down for the red shirt rule. Are you considering doing that with any guys this year?
You know, it's interesting you asked that, Matt, because that was some discussion I had yesterday afternoon in our staff meeting with our coaches. Because basically I kind of see it where we only have really two guys in that regard. And because Cam Ross, you're not going to shut him down.
Right.
You know, you're not going to shut Matt Drayton down. Really the two guys is Jackson Mitchell and Miles Bell, because those are the two that after this week they'll play 4 games. But you know, when you take a look at where we are at defensive back and where we are at linebacker and what we project going forward, I don't think we can do that. You know, and so really those are the 4 guys I think that we have. You know, so I mean, you know, they'll probably continue. I mean, they'll continue to get work, and you know, might end up seeing Jackson maybe some on defense. So, because again, you know, you have a plan in your mind long term of what you see for him, and shutting both of those guys down probably isn't going to be best for us. You know, long term. You know, in terms of what we think they can do and where they might fit as we continue to move forward.
I know you don't have any season-ending injuries, I'm assuming, from the guys from the game on Saturday?
No. Nope. We don't ever, you know, one thing about the injuries, and again, I don't want to talk about it, but we won't know until I never know until the end of the week, until Bob tells me, you know, who's out, because the way we do it, we just go through the week, and at the end of the week, he'll tell me if guys can play or they can't play. So I just assume everybody can play, everybody's in the meetings, you know, they might not practice one day, but then they'll practice another day or whatever, but so any determinations on that stuff isn't made until the end of the week, and that's not made by me, that's made by our training staff.
Everybody good?
All right.